Well, Chris Yelland is the Managing Director at EE Business Intelligence, an expert on Eskom and electricity. Chris, good afternoon to you. You would have seen the President there making the point that Eskom is going to move to the Energy Ministry. Is that going to make things easier in any way? Is that going to make any difference at all when you consider the scale of the problems that Eskom faces?
No, I don't believe it's going to be helpful at all. In fact, I think it points to a future of increasing politicization of the business of Eskom, and presents some very severe risks for Eskom and for electricity customers, and in fact for the whole country. I don't believe personally that the DMRE has got any significant resources or any better resources than the DPE, who don't have that many resources either, in terms of the necessary oversight of an organization like Eskom. I do see that we could be moving away from a period where Eskom was left, to operate as a business. It hasn't done it successfully. And a move now towards Eskom becoming more of a state department or an implementing agency of government policy. In other words, increased political intervention in the business of Eskom. And that would be okay if the politicians were really competent and capable in dealing with the technical and managerial and business and structural issues facing Eskom, but they're not. And in fact, I think it would be a backward step away from a more market-orientated approach to a more politicized and ideological approach based on the past, more centralized planning kind of approach. And for me, I think that is problematic.
Within all of this, we have the actual problems that Eskom's facing right now, and what we've all come to understand is the energy availability factor. How deep is the hole we're in as we start 2023?
It is very, very deep indeed. The energy availability factor at the end of 2022 dropped below 50% for the first time in Eskom's history. And if you look at the long-term trend of the energy availability factor, it has been declining for many years now. And the important thing to note about the energy availability factor is it's an average of over 90 generators, number one, and number two, you cannot overhaul these generators simultaneously. You can do them progressively over a number of years. And what that tells you is that the energy availability factor, it is mathematically and physically impossible for there to be a discontinuity into the trend graph of the energy availability factor. So when this is trending down as it is now and has been doing for the past several years, before it can start trending up again, it has first got to stabilize, bottom out, and then start increasing upwards. It is a continuum, and there cannot be a step change or even a discontinuity in the continuum. So you cannot expect that the energy availability factor of an average of 90 units that can't be managed simultaneously or maintained simultaneously, it cannot suddenly turn around next year. So the best that we can hope for next year, I believe, is that it levels out at the current very low levels before it starts, perhaps in a subsequent year or two, to start increasing slowly upwards again. And therefore, I think it's unrealistic to have expectations that the energy availability factor can suddenly change. Of course, if it could suddenly change, it could solve a lot of our problems, but it can't. It can't change suddenly.
We've been told, the Ruyter has said publicly, that sabotage is responsible for 1 or 2 stages of load shedding. Now, you would then say, stop the sabotage, you'll make life a lot easier for millions of people. But stopping the sabotage isn't easy either.
Yeah, and you must remember, this is not just sabotage and within Eskom. We are in an era now where there is increasing criminality and syndicates, crime syndicates on a huge scale throughout South Africa. It was accentuated by the years of state capture. I compare it to the days many decades ago in America, where the mafia infiltrated all manner of industries, including the construction industry, the scrap metal industry, prostitution, drugs, liquor, and there was this widespread organized criminality. To get that back to manageable levels takes many years of effort and cannot just be done overnight. So again, any expectation that a new CEO can come in there and suddenly change these levels of criminality, it's just not possible. It has to be worked on as a national project for many years. Do the right thing for a long time. Then things start coming right, as they did in the United States, where organized crime slowly over years and decades has been reduced to manageable levels.
Within all of this, I mean, I don't know if there are any bright spots in the story, probably not, but we do know that the private sector has been investing huge amounts of money in renewable electricity. Some of these are solar panels. You start to see them on private homes. You see them on businesses. Drive past a petrol station, you'll probably see one. What impact is that going to have?
Well, it has a positive impact, and it's remarkable how innovative and resilient humans and their economic activities, their businesses driven by humans, how adaptable they are and how innovative and resilient they are. They will start making a plan. People who have the necessary money and resources, they have a business to operate and protect, they will start spending money. They don't like spending money, but when they have to, they will, and they are. In fact, there's a quiet revolution taking place as we speak. About 1,000 megawatts per year of rooftop solar PV and battery storage is being installed in the private sector, in the domestic and commercial sector alone, let alone the industrial and the mining sector. So 1,000 megawatts a year coming from small and medium-sized solar PV and battery storage installation, as people start making their plans, just as they did in Nigeria, when there was, and there still is, unprecedented levels of power outages. Business carries on because they have to, and they do start making plans.
Within all of this, there are other problems that Eskom faces this year. We know that Ruyter is the outgoing CEO. He'll be in position until March. I think the same is true of the Chief Operating Officer. I have not seen any indication anywhere of who is likely to take over those two positions. If those two positions are left vacant for some time because maybe no one wants the job or because it takes a while or whatever it is, it does take a while to fill, are you expecting that to slow down whatever progress is being made at Eskom?
Yes, I see us entering a period of very high risk, not only for Eskom, but for electricity customers and for the country. If you just look to the past at how long it has taken to replace a CEO, when Pakamani Khadebe resigned because of the pressure and impact on his health, it took about 6 months to replace him. Now, there are a number of things. I mean, it is possible to replace the person with the wrong kind of leader, with the kind of leaders that criminals would love in that position, a kind of leader who would allow the criminality to continue and would be very pliant in this respect. It's not difficult to fill a position. It's difficult to fill a position with a right person, a person of experience, of credibility, of independence, and the right person for the job. I think it's going to be hard to find. And this latest attempt on Ruyter's life doesn't help things. In other words, it points to this poisoned chalice. And I mean that both metaphorically as well as literally in the case of André Ruyter, who has been served a poisoned chalice most recently in this attempted murder. It sends an intimidatory message that it will make it more difficult to fill this position with the right kind of person. And then there's the other aspect. If you fill the position with a temporary position or a political appointment. It means a period of risk because the business becomes more politicized. It may fall under the DMRE, which has a completely different and backward-looking philosophy towards the electricity supply to that which has been pursued in most recent years. And I see this as a very dangerous period for South Africa, a very high-risk period.
Yelland, very sobering. Thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate it. The energy expert there.